Well, TD, back here at the bank with a lot of other Panthers legends for today's Panthers practice. What's it like being with this group of guys and just kind of being back in this atmosphere?
It feels really good to be back in Bank of America Stadium, but in particular with a ton of guys that I've had the opportunity to play with over the course of my career. Just connecting those generational gaps. With some of the guys that I finished my career with and some of the guys that I started with, it's definitely a great moment, to share some of the old stories that, we were able to generate within this building and out there on the field. So it's definitely a great time, great environment, and definitely happy to see a lot of my old teammates.
Was there anyone you were surprised to see or just excited to see and reconnect with today?
It was a ton of guys. It's always good to see guys like Stephen Davis and Nick Goins. Those are the guys that was kind of the nucleus for the running back group, but then connecting them with Jonathan Stewart and, just kind of sharing some of the stories of competing and going against those guys. Individually, they all have stories about me hitting them and hitting them hard. So, to see that from the start of my career to the end of my career, it was definitely an honor to know that I was still bringing the heat.
Absolutely. Is there when you walk into this stadium, is there a favorite memory that you go back to from your career here?
Oh, man, where do I begin? I think really, just thinking about some of the really close football games we had, and the Indianapolis game on Monday night was one of the games that really stands out as being a special moment, or the New England Patriot game where we had the controversial play with Luke and Gronk, and just to see the disappointment on Tom Brady's face. But I would definitely go back to that 2014 end of season playoff game against the Arizona Cardinals, and then circle right back to next year when we played the Arizona Cardinals again, where I broke my forearm. So those are some of the games that, every time I step on that field, instantly come back to mind.
And you're still in the community, still an ambassador for the Carolina Panthers. What does it mean to post-playing career still be such an impactful member of this community?
It's a great feeling, knowing that this community fully embraced me and I embraced them back, and making sure that it wasn't just about being a football player here. For me, I was trying to build a legacy, build something that would last beyond my playing career. And, now that I have the opportunity with my foundation to continue to do the work that I was doing as a player, it's been a tremendous feeling to know that the city still feels the same way about me as they did when I was playing.
So you're giving back to the community, but your legacy also lives on in your son, at least your football legacy. A lot of hype around what he's going to do this year at Weddington. So what have you been telling him heading into this next season for him?
Just really enjoy this moment. He's going to start the season on injured reserve. I told him, man, he's trying to be too much like your dad. But, it's just one of those things. Unfortunately, he had a labrum surgery about 3 or 4 months ago, and when they get ready to play Providence Day, it's going to be very iffy if he's able to make it into that game. But, I'm just trying to let him know and allow him to understand, this is a really big game, and this would have been a great opportunity for you to play in it if you're not able to. But it's not the end of your season. You can't sit back and, dwell and be sad. And I think he kind of understands that now as he goes through his rehab process.
As he looks to the next chapter, a lot of rumors already out there about college ball and who's recruiting him. Are you in his ear at all a little bit about where he maybe should be going post-high school?
One of the things that, I love about this process right now, he has 35-plus offers, and I tell him all the time, because people say, oh, you just going to get him at Georgia. He's like, it's not about that for me during this process. For me, it's about taking him to all of the individual schools and allow him to find what's comfortable for him. Allow him to figure out, what coaching staff he gels the best with, what scheme he feels like he fits best in, and, just what college environment that he really feels comfortable in. And that's one of the things that's been really special about this process. For my son and my nephews, my twin nephews, they both each have over 30 offers. So it's been a special time for us in our household to just really watch them grow up and go through the maturation process and go through this college recruiting process.
Okay, I'm going to pivot a little bit here. You were trending on social media because you reunited with Cam Newton on his podcast. What was it like just hopping on there and going back and forth with him?
It just felt like old times. Me and Cam, it really felt like a training camp, OTA, regular season practice, with that friendly banter that we have going back and forth. That's something that I think we'll be able to do until we're no longer here on this earth. You know, we have fun and we go at it every single time, but we both know and understand that it's coming from a place of love, and there's nothing that I wouldn't do for Cam, and I know there's nothing that he wouldn't do for me. So that just really speaks to the bond and the relationship that we've developed over the years.
And then circling back today here at the bank, a new era for the Carolina Panthers with Dave Canales stepping into that head coaching position. Have you had a chance to talk with him? What are your thoughts on him stepping into that role, and just also what you're seeing from practice today?
I've definitely had a chance to speak with Dave, and I'm excited about the energy that he brings to this football team, to this city. But more in particular, you know, just looking at his track record, looking at him working with Geno Smith and how Geno was able to grow and who he became as a football player for the Seattle Seahawks. Watching Baker Mayfield leave here, go to Tampa, and we got to see Baker firsthand. We knew what he brought and what he was capable of when he was here, but under Dave's tutelage, he was able to take his game to another level, and that's one of the things that I'm most excited about, seeing how Bryce improves from year one to year two under Dave's tutelage and under this new offensive scheme that we brought in. When you improve the offensive line and you put weapons around him, then I think we'll really ultimately get to see the real version of Bryce Young, and that's one of the things that has me most excited about this football team.
All right, TD, appreciate your time and insight. Thanks so
for
much.
having me. No problem.